Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to mourn collectively the life of a bright and blazing star, Officer Areanah Preston. The Lord has called our sister home. In my time as mayor and in the years before, I've attended to many of these funerals of our heroes who were felled in the line of duty and taken from their families and from us way too soon. The men and women who risk their lives each day to keep us safe, to respond to emergencies. The smaller, unseen acts of humanity that our officers perform each day, just being the helpers of the communities in which they serve. That was Ariana, to a T. These funerals, where people have been lost tragically too soon, and in each case I've sat with the mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles, sisters and brothers, and we have wept and prayed together and tried to make sense of the senseless. It never gets easier. Today, though, feels particularly painful. Officer Areanah Preston, 24 years young. Many of us have thought she was just a baby. But in fact, as you've heard and you've read, Officer Preston was, by all accounts, wise beyond her years. She's a person, I've been told, with a very strong moral compass, a lover of learning, with a deep curiosity about the world that she wanted to shape. A woman with a vision for criminal justice that was fair, trustworthy, and a system that would truly serve the people of the city. Her college newspaper tells about her going out of her way, even as an undergraduate, to meet with formerly incarcerated members of our community, to listen to them and learn from them, and use their experience and her understanding of what would be her life's work. I was so impressed when I read that Ariana went to Germany and Poland to study genocide through a criminology lens before applying to join CPD. She said, and I quote, "I know a big thing for our trip was finding voices for those who didn't have a voice. When I got back, I wanted to be an officer. I felt like I could be a person to fight for justice," end quote. As you heard, she went to Loyola to pursue her master's and was just a week shy of graduation when she was taken from us. And I want to thank the Loyola University and the family for honoring Officer Preston and her family at the graduation. Ladies and gentlemen, Areanah Preston was exactly the sort of person that we want to recruit to our police department. Passionate, energetic, bold, inquisitive, interested in understanding and attacking the root causes of violence and crime. And I could borrow a phrase from Father Mike, who says, "We're bearing our talent." When I think about the future of CPD recruits, I want to see a sea of Areanah Prestons. We should all want. Areanah Preston was the future of the Chicago Police Department. And we feel like we have been robbed of that future today. We must grapple with the reality of how and by whom Officer Preston's life was taken. Now, I imagine Ariana, curious and conscientious, aware of the complex amalgamation of conditions that lead people, particularly young people, to make tragic choices. We would want us to honestly examine the harsh and ugly reality of this tragedy, take responsibility and acknowledge the system and individual justice, under individual judgments that had gone astray. But I would also imagine she'd want us to get back to work on saving the next life. If there's one thing that I've learned in the past 4 years, is that fixing this broken criminal justice system were simple. We would have done it immediately. It is nuanced and multifaceted, and it requires all of us to throw our shoulders behind the same wheel at the same time to begin moving in the right direction. And may this tragedy renew our resolve to do just that. It must be done. It must be taken on with a renewed commitment to centering the experience and the pain of victims and their loved ones at the center of our fight for justice. But we must never forget the victims and the witnesses, which tragically there are too many in our city. We owe that to them. We owe that to Ariana. And we owe that to the family. When I first saw them at the hospital on that awful Sunday morning, Mrs. Moon, as we all would be, was drowning in disbelief and grief and devastation. You know, Mrs. Moon, as I sat with you, I wanted you to see and know and feel, mother to mother, that you had poured everything into your daughter to make sure that she had the opportunities and the promise that you could only have dreamed of. And you saw in your precious child all that hope and promise coming into reality. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good family, a strong, loving Black family. And Areanah Preston is what we want our daughters to be, our Black daughters. In the face of a society and a world that throws every obstacle in their paths, we dream of raising young Black girls who become strong and fearless, determined, and of course, kind and giving. We dream of raising Black girls who see the world in all of its nuances and equip themselves to make a difference despite the complexities. We dream of raising Black girls who would change the world with their choices. And Ariana chose to change the world through wearing the badge and protecting and serving her beloved city. I will spend time making sure that my Black daughter understands there's a role model there of a life well lived. May we hold Ariana in our hearts and remember her in her vision and dedication to serving, sacrifice, and justice. And may we honor her memory by never, ever giving up that fight. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to say prayer and bless the Chicago Police Department. We need to make sure we need to make sure that every day on every watch, we never forget that these officers sacrifice themselves and run to danger for our safety. We need to make sure that we thank them for what they do to keep us safe. God bless the Chicago Police Department, and God bless our beloved city of Chicago.